Hi everyone, my name is David from Salatiga House Church, and today I'll be sharing about the grace I've received through the 10-day special service. Um, the start of my story begins with preparing my heart for the 10-day three-chord prayer service, and when I found out that this 10-day service was taking place, I was filled with anticipation, and I really looked forward to it as I felt that at the time it was exactly what I needed. And so when I met the boys on Sunday, I told them about the event and how we should form groups with each other so we can all pray together. And we were all keen on this and decided on doing that. And so to prepare for the prayer service and getting into the habit of coming to church every day, we decided to come to church in the morning around 10 and just study until it was time for the service. And just like that, my usual sleep schedule of waking up at 3 p.m. Changed to waking up at 9 a.m., starting the day with 15 minutes of prayer, Bible readings, and then heading to church to study. And so during this time, when we were at church preparing, studying, and we were able to enjoy lunch with the pastors every day. And I remember one time we were having lunch with Pastor Choi and Pastor Yun, when Pastor Yun asked us if we had already made our groups for the special service, in which we all replied yes. And Pastor Yun told us that he wanted to form a group with some of us. And I remember letting out an awkward laugh and quickly moving on from the subject. Because I think at the time we all felt a bit burdened or pressure from the idea of praying with a pastor, and preferred the comfort of just praying with each other. But the week before the special service, Pastor Yun was delivering the Wednesday service sermon, and I remember listening to the sermon and receiving lots of grace. And during prayer times, the Holy Spirit led me to pray about the special service groups. Even though I had firmly decided on forming a group with the boys, the Holy Spirit led me to pray about it. And during this time, I truly felt that God was guiding me to form this group with Pastor Yun. So after the service, I spoke to him and told him that I was praying and that felt like forming a group with him was something God wanted me to do. And thankfully, he hadn't formed the group yet, so I was able to form a group with him. Now the groups were made, and all I had to do was think of my 3 prayer points that I wanted to pray about. And one day at church, I was at church again studying with the boys, and we were eating lunch when the topic of our future careers and uni paths came up. And I had a basic idea of what I wanted to do. And to put it simply, I needed to finish my bachelor's, get a master's, and then a PhD. But as we were discussing that, we did some deeper research into the costs of the path. And to my shock, I found out it would total to around $500,000 of student debt. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to be in debt for the rest of my life. I need to find something else to study and something else to pursue. That's something that seems more reasonable. So this was my first prayer point I shared. I didn't really know what or how to pray about it, so I just explained the situation and asked my prayer partners to pray for me. And I shared 2 other prayer points, and just like that, the service had started. Me and the boys continued to go to church every morning to study, although some days we got absolutely no work done and just talked. But still through this, I was able to start every day 15 minutes earlier to pray, to prepare for the day, read the Bible, and do QT. And when I got to church, I would read a chapter of the One at a Time book. And through this, ended up spending more time at church than I was at home, going home only to sleep, wake up, and head back to church the next day. But during this time, I felt really good. Although all prayer points had been shared, although all the prayer points that I shared were long-term prayer points and hasn't really been answered yet, I remember one night of the special service where I was filled with so much grace. I was praying for Pastor Yun and my dad, and I remember while I was praying, just having so much faith in God, and I was crying out to him about 2 prayer points that seemed impossible. The first one was to completely heal Pastor Yun's brain tumor, that when the results of the MRI scan come out, that there'll be no trace of the tumor. And then I was also praying for my dad, who had recently had a surgery for a disorder called dystonia. And when my dad first got diagnosed, I remember searching up symptoms, trying to get an idea about what the disease was. And I found that treatment can help, but it is something that can never be fully cured. But when I was praying, I was crying out to God saying that this disorder is only incurable to human knowledge, to human power, but God, who's sovereign over all, can heal it, and that God can cure it. Now, whether it is in God's will to do these things, I'm not sure, but through this that special service, I was able to understand the type of faith that I need to be living every day with. And no matter the situation or circumstance, I truly hope that I'm able to continue to live every day with the same faith in God that He can do anything. And as I continue to walk this journey of faith, I hope that I'm able to hold on to God and anchor myself in faith, living daily in a way that pleases God, gives glory to Him. Thank you for listening, and God bless.